is everyone's D&D class?
Oh, boy. Okay.
I stand by the fact that I think Dom Toretto is a paladin rogue dual wield. And that Brian is a druid.
Okay, please explain. I understand the paladin part of Dom Toretto. Why the rogue?
That motherfucker came out with dual wielding 2 wrenches against Jason Statham. What do you want me to think?
Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where 2 long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm just like a really, really juicy engine.
And this week... fuck. And this week we shifted to Overdrive with The Fast and the Furious. Before we make our cars do wheelies, remember you can help us on Mortified the Legitimacy Quest by subscribing to us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify, signing up for our monthly newsletter through the link in our show notes, or following us on Twitter and Tumblr at MortifiedPod. Leyla.
Aaron.
Are you ready to learn about cars and family, but most importantly, the laws of physics?
Physics who? Physics, I never heard of her.
Yeah. Basically, we watched... So when this episode comes out, it'll have been a couple weeks since Fast 9 came out. But in celebration of that, we watched the Fast and the Furious movies, but not the ones you'd think. We watched the first one and the 7th one, which I heard was the best, based on its Rotten Tomatoes score. Leyla, I think you will have some disagreement of that, but like, I think this was a very good experience.
Oh, it's not that I disagree. It's listen. My favorite thing is not always the best thing. My favorite one is 3. I don't think it's the best one. It's just the one I like the most.
You know, I absolutely respect that. Sometimes you just gotta know what shit you like. So, Leyla, do you want to talk about your history with the Fast franchise?
Okay, my history is brief. I have a friend who is, like, obsessed with these movies, and I'd never seen them, and she finally sat me down last summer in the middle of quarantine, was like, no, it's time. And I said, okay. And so I had bought her the box set for her birthday, so we watched 1 through 7. So the only ones I haven't seen are 8, Hobbs and Shaw, and 9, which I will be watching. And it's delightful garbage.
I mean, I think that the Fast franchise in the past couple of years has been given, you know, kind of it's discussed with an air of almost like snobbishness. I listened to like Pop Culture Happy Hour with NPR, and like, you know, they come at these movies with like kind of you know, they're not good movies, but you know, there's lots of cars revving and explosions and wild stunts, and like that's what they're for. So, like, I had always kind of dismissed them. But, like, watching these, I kind of had a good time. Like, so, weird story from my college experience. The only Fast movie I had seen before this was Tokyo Drift. And I didn't watch all of Tokyo Drift. I watched about... a third of it, because the people whose room I was watching it in, one of the girls was asking me a lot of questions about my sex life that I did not want to answer, so I did leave and did something else.
I'm sorry that was your Tokyo Drift experience. That is my favorite one. That is number 3. So you missed out on Layla's favorite movie.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
Fast. It's okay.
I'm sorry about that. We'll have to remedy that sometime. But yeah, unfortunately, that particular film is tainted for me.
Oh, I'm very sorry. We'll have to talk about whatever the opposite of very personal details of your sex life are. Yeah, it's it is discussed with like an air of pretension. I just never really, I don't know. It's hard for me to get into like big action blockbusters. I like them in theory, but sometimes they're almost like too much for me. So I have to go in when someone has to take my hand and guide me into the theater and be like, no, you'll like this one. And the ones I really like, and the ones I don't like, I really don't like. It's very polarizing, these action movies for me. But I think it's funny that we did this immediately after Yuri on Ice, because I was re-listening to Yuri on Ice, and you were whinging about the fact that the ice skates didn't have Nas. So,
I wrote in my notes, this is the diametric opposite of Yuri on Ice.
Yeah, this is it really is. Oh man. Do you wanna hit us with a summary of F1?
Okay, so the Fast and the Furious one, titled The Fast and the Furious, came out in 2001, and it is a story about an undercover cop who is sent to infiltrate a street racing organization. They're kind of a gang, even though they wouldn't call themselves a gang. And he's trying to figure out who is doing all these wild stunts and robbing these cars, these trucks rather, because all these truckers are getting up in arms and don't like that their Panasonic TVs are being robbed. And this cop, Brian O'Connor, starts to infiltrate this gang of people run by Dominic Toretto, who's the best driver in history. And over the course of several days, weeks, months, he sort of learns that they're actually really cool and nice people, and they're really good at driving. And he falls in love with Dom's sister, Mia, and he really learns a lot about family and what it means to be a part of something bigger than yourself, I think. Leyla, what's Fast 7 about?
Brian O'Connor, now with a 4-year-old and a second baby on the way, in a minivan, gets suckered into an international plot because Jason Statham wants revenge for his brother, and Vin Diesel and The Rock need him there in Abu fucking Dhabi. And when Vin Diesel's house gets blown up, Mia and Brian's baby get zipped out to the Dominican Republic for safety. Oh, and also Michelle Rodriguez had died and now is back and has amnesia. And that's Fast 7, which is just called, by the way, is it just Furious 7?
I think so,
I'm pretty
yes.
sure it's what it is.
Yeah.
So it's The Fast and the Furious, Furious 7, and then just fun fact, audience, there is a movie called Fast and Furious, and it's not the same thing as The Fast and the Furious, but it is the same franchise.
I love this franchise. I think it kicks ass.
Somebody tweeted today that if Fast 10 isn't called Fast 10, your seatbelts, they're gonna sue, and I like that a lot.
Well, they do that a lot, because, Fast 8 is called The Fate of the Furious,
it's really good.
F8, and then, God, it's so good.
It's incredible. Perfect franchise, honestly. They really took the beginning premise of, while I was watching these movies, I was really thinking about Saints Row, because Saints Row, they're a series of games that are, so they started as kind of GTA knockoffs, and then turned into their own bizarro fantasies, because somebody took the concept of upstart becomes a gang boss and ran with it all the way into fucking space. And Fast and Furious is the same shit. It takes the concept of undercover cop infiltrates a very familial gang and they ran with it. It's like Saints Row if Troy was the protagonist, basically. But I think I put in my notes that I think you would really like Saints Row based on your enjoyment of these movies.
Yeah, I've never actually tried the Saints Row franchise, but I suspect that is the case. These movies have a lot of just completely bizarre action set pieces, which I think are great, and we'll get into.
Yeah, we'll talk about the jumping buildings in a vehicle. Absolutely.
Yeah, how can we not? So like we said, the first main character of this franchise is Brian O'Connor, the undercover cop who goes rogue and eventually becomes part of this family, played by Paul Walker, who I believe died in 2013. So that does actually play a role in Fast 7. Do we have much to say about Brian?
I would like to first of all, rest in peace. Sad that he died. He was very young.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never watched an actor get better at acting over the course of 7 movies before, and Paul Walker, started at the bottom, now we here. It's, the line delivery improved a great deal, and that was great.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between these two movies is night and day. Not only was, the fucking 14 years of CGI technological upgrades definitely evident, but also, yeah, I mean, Walker's skill just, dramatically improved as he became more comfortable with the character and the cast and just his ability as an actor. I mean, he still delivers the corniest lines imaginable, so, people don't talk like the way... I wish people talked the way that they do in these movies. Not the first one, in the 7th one, yes.
I don't know, because I talk like Dom Toretto.
Yes, I want everyone... match. I want everyone to have Dom's code of honor. Let's talk about Mr. Vin Diesel. What do you think about Dom, Leyla?
He sure is a square man.
He's so compact.
So compact. Cares about his family. He's a family man. Cares about his sister a lot. Cares about his found family. He's a Corona man. That's very important.
I love that little character detail because it's just it's just a thing that lets you know Dom doesn't have a whole lot of terribly interesting characteristics besides the fact that he's good at racing and loves his family, but that weird specific thing that's just yeah, I love Corona beer, they're great. Nobody can make fun of him for it. That rules.
Yeah, no, I think that fucks incredibly hard. He's also there's a scene where Roman in Fast 7, she's a hacker. Or not Roman. Do I have her name right?
Her name is Ramsey, yes.
Ramsey, got my R's mixed up, does this thing where she, goes through the group and she gives them, classifications.
Cool names, yeah. She, reads them, their auras, and it's this is who you are.
Yeah, she looks at Vin Diesel and she goes, Alpha. And then she looks at Michelle Rodriguez and goes, Mrs. Alpha, which is maybe the funniest shit I'd ever heard. But that's it, right? He's the big, alpha male. As far as that doesn't exist, but, that's what he's supposed to be.
Yeah, no, it's good. And, I think the simplicity of his character does a lot of favors to him. He's just really just he is an everyman, but also a Superman, and I think that is...
He's what the everyman wants to be.
Yes, exactly. And we will talk about masculinity in this franchise in the body of our podcast. Let's talk about Mrs. Alpha 1, Michelle Rodriguez. Letty Ortiz.
Michelle Rodriguez. From 2 episodes ago, we were big fans of her performance in Avatar. No, she was distinctly not Michelle Rodriguez. No. It was the other one.
That's Zoe Saldana.
No, I do have it right. It is Michelle Rodriguez. The pilot.
She was the pilot.
Yes, the pilot is who I'm talking about.
Shit.
Yeah, Trudy.
Excellent catch.
Thank you. Yeah, so we love her. We love Michelle Rodriguez in Avatar. And I love her very much in this movie. She's just kind of mean, which I love. And listen, if she were the only woman of color in this movie and she were mean, that would be a problem. But she's not the only woman of color, so she's mean, and I find that very sexy. So it works for me. It works for her. Aaron, does it work for you?
I mean, I love a mean woman, Leyla. But there is a scene in Fast 1 where Dom Toretto's getting out and he's about to do a street race and everyone's like, oh yeah, what's up, Dom? Hey, how's it been going? Things that people say before a street race. And there's these 2 women who come up to him and, we should probably talk about the way that the women are, dressed in this franchise, but they are dressed in some, bikini tops and low cut or jean shorts, and they're all putting their arms around him and talking to him, and Letty Ortiz, Michelle Rodriguez, comes up and sniffs the air, and she says, "I smell skanks." It's so fucking good.
Her delivery of that terrible line is so fucking funny.
Because she does like a little cat growl, and it's just like, what are we doing?
She spends that whole first movie just prowling, which I really appreciate. It's a great look. I'm a Letty stan. She's probably my favorite character in the franchise.
There is, according to Wikipedia, like a female-led one of these coming out in the next couple of years. I hope to God it gets into her. I want to know everything about Letty Ortiz because she kicks ass.
Give me the Letty story. Her fight in Fast 7, that like weird fucking combat she does in the party tower
with the Emirati, like guards.
Yes. Oh my god. And in Fast 7, everyone is suddenly combat trained, which I think is very funny. But she does it in a red gown, and she does my favorite thing that long-haired combatants and feminine combatants do in these movies, which is she puts her hair up in the middle of the fight, and that's when you know it's fucking on. Oh! That was a great movie.
I would pay the price of admission just to watch Michelle Rodriguez beat the shit out of Ronda Rousey, so...
Was that Ronda Rousey?
Mm-hmm.
These celebrity cameos in these films. Iggy Azalea's in there, too. I don't know if you spotted her.
I didn't know
Race
that was
Wars in the beginning. It was Iggy fucking Azalea.
Oh, course.
Anyway.
God.
Mia Torres.
Mia, I feel like I hope in the other movies she gets more character stuff, but I don't know. She's largely a love interest in F1, and F7 she's unfortunately just like a motivating character. She's like, oh, hey Brian, stay alive because I'm carrying your daughter in my womb, and also we have another child. Sorry I didn't tell you. I thought it would upset you, I guess. You see, it seems like your fucking house is not in order, Brian. Maybe you should work on that instead of missing being shot at, but whatever.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, hey, y'all, I'm perpetually single, mostly by choice, but Aaron is married. I think we'll both agree that if you should not have any question as to how your spouse will react to a pregnancy.
Yeah, you gotta be really, really certain about that.
You gotta be on the same page. If I were with someone and I was pregnant, they should not have any surprise in their mind that I would more than likely want to terminate that pregnancy for several health-related reasons. Aaron, I know you probably want kids in the future.
Yeah, I mean,
you guys should be on the same page about the timing of that.
Yes, I mean, like, not to get too deep into it, but, if Sierra acted the way that Mia acted when she learned that she was pregnant a second time, we would have to go to counseling because clearly there would be something terribly, terribly wrong in our relationship.
That would require a level of deep introspection that nobody could help you guys with other than a licensed therapist. So yes, friends of the pod, be on the same page about children, please, before you enter committed relationships.
Yeah, anyway, hopefully there's like a cool movie where and then the female-led movie, Mia becomes like a cool like mom driver, and her kids Brian just has to take care of the kids, and then she gets to do MILF shit.
I want Mia to pop a wheelie in the minivan.
Yes, that'd be fucking sick.
I think that would be great.
So there's a couple other characters. I mean, we've hit sort of the main ones, but there's a couple other ones that appear in Fast 7 that I think we should talk about that are interesting. Mainly, so The Rock is here.
Yeah, The Rock is here. Well, before we get into The Rock, I do just want to shout out Jesse real quick. Jesse's my favorite character from The Fast and the Furious, other than Letty, because he is a ADD genius mechanic who wears nail polish, and that's just a thing I vibe with very, very hard. I think that's great. But yeah, in Fast 7, The Rock, he's not as there as he is in Fast 6 or 8 or Hobbs and Shaw, but he is there. And he does have a sick scene where he flexes so hard he busts out of his cast.
My favorite thing that The Rock does in this movie is that he knows that his friends are in trouble because he watches them getting shot at on TV, and I think it's Los Angeles, whatever city. Okay,
it was LA,
and he's like, all right, I got to do something, and I believe he steals an ambulance from the hospital and uses it to destroy a predator drone.
Yes, and then he finds a Gatling gun.
He also has a minigun with him while he does this. After he crashes the ambulance, he uses that minigun to shoot a helicopter out of the sky.
I found a lot of cinematic correlations between the shit the Furious 7 pulled and scenes out of Resident Evil. It is the same. There is literally a scene in 4 where the main character finds a minigun, and that's your weapon now. And I was watching it, and I was like, this has Resident Evil vibes to me.
I mean, this whole franchise is very video gamey, so I don't think you're wrong.
Has there been, like, a successful Fast and Furious video game?
I mean, I think there are several, like, Fast and Furious video games. I don't think they're that successful, unfortunately.
Hey, I don't know who owns while Disney hasn't recruited us yet, hire us to make a Fast and Furious game.
We could do some shit. Well, maybe we'll talk about that in our marketing minute.
Oh yeah, is that what it is? The marketing minute? Have we named it?
That's what I have been pushing for, a Mortified marketing minute. But
I love that.
Okay, good.
Great.
There's also so there's Tej, who is played by Ludacris. He's just like a smart science guy. He's there to balance out Roman, who is played by another rapper that I don't know any of his work.
Tyrese Gibson.
Yes. Apparently he's sold 3 million albums.
And those two, by the way, are replacing the fucking cultural icon Ja Rule.
Yeah, Ja Rule's in the first one. I don't know why, but he is there.
He's there doing Ja Rule things, scamming himself into places he shouldn't be. And Firefest didn't hurt anyone, so I respect the shit.
Listen, if you can make a lot of money taking money from rich people, go ahead, Ja Rule, sure.
Yeah, fuck it, Ja Rule, go for it.
The main bad guy of F7 is this hitman named Deckard Shaw, who apparently teams up with The Rock in Hobbs and Shaw. But like in this one, he's the bad guy, and he's just like a mega assassin. They call him like a legitimate British badass, which is a thing that no one's ever said about somebody from Britain. But he's like a cool killer guy.
Hobbs was also the villain. It takes like 2 movies for the villains to become allies.
Yeah.
That's just like a thing.
Yeah, because they said that, The Rock kicked Dom Toretto's ass at one point. His daughter tells him that.
The villain of 5 or 6.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. I like that, though. It's very anime-y. It's very much like, okay, Vegeta's gonna go fight Goku, but then after that, he becomes domesticated and comes to help out sometimes.
That's exactly what it is. Well, it's even funnier that you say that because we find out Hobbs has a daughter, and she's really cool. She's like 8.
Yeah, she rules. And then the strangest character, in my opinion, in F7 is Mr. Nobody, who is just like, I think he works for the U.S. government, but like he's Kurt Russell, not who plays him, but like he seems like so shady because he's like always giving the family like guns and cars and like access to incredible surveillance technology, and like I was like, oh, he's gonna turn on them, and he never does, and like I kind of liked that.
Yeah, he gives me really big elusive man from Mass Effect 2 vibes. Which I just have to make sure that wasn't Kurt Russell. It's not. It's Martin Sheen. He never turns. He never betrays, and I think that's very funny.
Yeah, it's wild.
He's so shady.
He like has a bunch of weird shit. Like he's like wearing like a bulletproof vest under like his like suit and tie, and also he's got like night vision sunglasses, and he's also just like really good at like shooting with pistols, and like he takes bullets for the team, and it's like, what is your deal, Mr. Nobody? Like,
God. We don't know, and I don't think we're ever gonna find out. I did appreciate that for the overblown budget of Fast 7 and 8 and 9 and Hobbs and Shaw, that the scene where he gets picked up by the medical helicopter The helicopter's like half an inch big in the background, but it sounds like it's right next to him, and that's how they save money on that scene by not having to animate another helicopter. Peak filmmaking, thank you.
Excellent. That's strategies. There's a lot of cinematic parallels and narrative parallels between Fast 1 and Fast 7, and I think that's really great. Like, even down to the helicopter coming in to, like, help somebody. Like, there's... I think we watched this movie in the correct order.
You think everyone should go from 1 to 7?
I think so. It's very much like... I was like worried that like it was going to be like playing Kingdom Hearts 1 and then playing Kingdom Hearts 3 and just being like, I don't know what the fuck's going on now. But it wasn't like that in a lot of ways. And I think in some ways not knowing a lot of the weird lore shit and just being like, okay, they have to get back together for one big final fight. Like, this is it. Like, that improved my enjoyment of Fast 7.
Well, okay, it kind of is like the Kingdom Hearts thing, though. But the thing about Kingdom Hearts is that when you miss a piece of lore in Kingdom Hearts, that shit's pivotal. You are not going to know what the fuck is going on unless you have that one piece of fucking lore. Fast and Furious treats its lore like, hey, didn't that happen in the last movie? Oh, yeah. And that's it. You don't need to know. It doesn't fucking matter. The heroes are the villains are the heroes, baby. Vin Diesel's there, it's about family. He's got his Coronas, and also Paul Walker is there for most of it, and then Ja Rule, and then if not Ja Rule, then Ludacris. If you don't know what's going on, that's okay, because neither does the main character of the movie who has amnesia now. It's all whatever, baby. Kaboom, kaboom. There's a fast car and an explosion. Like, you don't need to know anything. You need to come in with an open heart and ready for a good time.
I think that's exactly right. Like, the fact that they are playing so fast and loose with canon and the lore. Yes, and furious with the canon and the lore. It makes it very enjoyable. It falls into tropes that I'm familiar with, specifically like within big fantasy series and anime series, right? Like, there's just like a bunch of characters that like you don't really know how they're related, but they have like a cool aesthetic and a cool characterization. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, that works for me.
I have a pitch for you. I don't know how you're going to feel about this, but I think if anyone should do a live-action Dragon Ball Z movie, it should be the producers of the Fast and the Furious series. I want you to really consider what I'm saying, and I want you to, like, admit that I'm right.
What are the similarities between Dragon
Vin
Ball
Diesel
Z?
could just play Goku.
He'd need to wear a wig, but
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, he's shiny and bald like Yami or like Yugi, so he could just be there.
What are the similarities? We've got
explosions, villains becoming the heroes,
family, big cast or big important set piece battles where the fate of the world is at stake.
Also, Fast 9 goes to space. Dragon Ball Z goes to space.
Of course it does. Of course Fast 9 goes to space. Oh god.
I'm right.
I think you're right. Yeah, no, if they had enough budget, you know, and I think they could pull it off. They would have to maybe. Actually, I don't know. I think the tone, the melodrama in the Fast franchise is actually perfect for anime because anime is extremely melodramatic.
I know. That's my point. Yes.
Yeah.
If anything, they should direct an anime.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the fact that the Fast and the Furious franchise is sort of a fantastical world where the rules are different from the world that the audience is familiar with. I do feel like it is very similar to a fantasy or an anime, and I think you're completely right in your Dragon Ball Z read.
Thank you. I'm so glad you agree with me. Should we talk about masculinity?
We could try.
Okay.
So you brought this up in your notes that like there's a portrayal of masculinity in these films outside of the military-industrial complex, right? Nobody is technically a soldier or a cop by the time Fast 7 rolls around. I guess The Rock is, but he's just sort of like a side character. And I don't know necessarily that it is a good 100% portrayal of masculinity, but it does. If you really sand it down and find the nuggets, I think you can get at the things that I, as somebody who does very much identify as a cis man, like the things that I enjoy and find useful about masculinity. And I think this franchise does have important stuff in there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I noticed was more, I didn't read any of the relationships as queer, which I read so many relationships as queer that sometimes I'm like, am I just reading into things because I want more queer relationships on screen? But no, it's truly like you can just write male friendships that don't read romantic at all, and it's these friendships, but they read as friendships, they read as genuine, right? I think you made a note, there's a point at which Dom like checks in with one of his teammates about his like mental health. He like genuinely cares about even Vince, who fucking sucks. And it's just, there's a lot of like, it's like boys will be boys taken to an extreme, right? It's a lot of goofing, it's a lot of there's some razzing of the fellas. There's a big like protective instinct, kind of a pack mentality. It's boisterous. It can be a little aggressive. And like you said, it's not perfect, but it is just like a distilled masculinity that is fun to watch. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's exactly what I'm trying to get at. I mean, the only problem I have is that it does kind of do the thing where it's like, and anyway, we have all these sexy women, and like, I don't want to be like, oh, you can't have hot people, hot women in your film, but there are a few too many like camera shots that focus on a woman's ass, and it's like, okay, there's doing some objectification here, and I do wish they had like maybe evened it out a little bit.
I mean, the first movie, it was worse, I think, in this respect. It was a lot more gratuitous ass. But I noticed something about the first and the seventh movie that was a little bit of a perspective shift. So the first movie really played to the audience. So it was a lot of like, you're supposed to find all these like, you're supposed to find the skanks hot, right? You're supposed to find Vin Diesel hot, right? He's always like sweaty and like sleeveless. And I actually really liked the sex scene with him and Letty. I thought it worked. Like, it was fine. You're supposed to find Paul Walker hot. You're supposed to find Michelle Rodriguez hot. Like, you're supposed to find all of them hot indiscriminately, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's like this weird perspective shift in Fast 7 where the movie is no longer playing to the audience. You are now running with this movie from Dom Toretto's perspective. So all of a sudden, you're not supposed to find Vin Diesel hot. You're not supposed to find The Rock hot. You're not supposed to find, I forget the actress's name, but Mia. You're not supposed to find Mia hot. You're not supposed to find Paul Walker hot. The only person who even remotely gets that treatment is Michelle Rodriguez, but even her like cool party outfit is a tight red dress, but it's not plungy. There's not a ton of cleavage. Like, it's pretty practical. But she shot really tenderly all the time. And there are a couple of like gratuitous shots of like women in bikinis. The Abu Dhabi thing, that was like, it's like, I appreciated the fact that they shot Abu Dhabi without that like gross yellow filter, and the bikini girls were there to like be this fake signpost of quote unquote progressivism, right? Which like, that isn't the sign of progress, but to American audiences, seeing scantily clad women is both progress and you know what I mean? But you're not supposed to find any of the main cast all that sexy. So it's just like this really funny little perspective shift that I noticed between the two movies, because again, it wasn't trying to make me think Vin Diesel was sexy, which I kind of appreciated.
Yeah, listen, love you, Vin, but you are a very featureless man in many ways.
Yeah.
So what this franchise is notorious for, its concept of family and like, talking about standing up for family. The last movie literally has a song that's all about, talking about family, because family, that's all that we got. But like, what do you think, based on the two movies we've watched, what do you think the Fast and Furious franchise believes about family?
I don't know. That's a great question, and it has staggered me a little bit. I think it does want me to kill somebody for family.
I have that in my notes too. I feel like this movie is like a family is whoever is close to you, your friends, people who have shown that they are worth protecting, and you must use violence to defend them at all costs.
Yes. It is. It's almost clan-like.
It really is, because like this entire franchise, or this entire movie of F7 specifically, right? This guy, blows up Vin Diesel's house. And Vin Diesel, I mean, understandably, I assume, given his relationship with the police, is like, well, now this is a blood feud. They killed John, or not Johnny Tran, who is the Fast and the Furious main character?
Paul, no. Han?
Han, yes. Han is yeah, listen, they resurrect him. It's great. I'm glad he's not dead. But they, he killed Han, he blew up Vin Diesel's house, and now it is a blood feud. Now he has to exact revenge. And it's like that guy, Jason Statham, is getting revenge for, a crime done to his brother, apparently, in the other movie. And like, it is very clan-like in that way, that you're just constantly avenging various feuds against your siblings.
Yeah, and it also wants me to think families hovers around a central figure, which in this case is Dom Toretto, because like in the Fast and the Furious, Mia said that my brother's like gravity, right? Like everything gets pulled to him, and he's the central figure, and then in Fast 7, he's Alpha. Which also, that exchange with Ramsey... was my favorite exchange, because then Ludacris gets really mad and he stands up. Or no, is it Ludacris? Or is
no,
it
it's the other guy. It's Roman is this character's name.
So Roman gets really mad and he's like, nah, I'm like second Alpha, right? And Ludacris is like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, like second Alpha, like a man can. He says, sit your candy ass down.
It's really good. It's
line.
I don't know what purpose Roman serves except to be like the comic relief who's like, hey, quick question, why are we dropping our vehicles out of a Hercules C-130 airplane? My favorite scene potentially in any movie now. But he's like, this is a little absurd, don't you think? And everyone else is like, don't be a baby, man. Just drive your car out of the airplane and then activate the parachute. It's GPS guided. You'll be fine.
And then they knew he was going to chicken out, so they rigged his car.
It's really funny.
Which I thought was really funny, and he's trying to like push the brakes as he's falling through the air unimpeded. Oh God, honestly, cinematic, fucking poetic cinema. I don't know. These movies are perfect. I mean, they're not perfect, but they're perfect. You know what I mean? It's just, I could watch Fast 7 100 times.
We earlier on in the year we talked about how much we were looking forward to Kong versus Godzilla, and like it's exactly in the same vein of just like big, dumb, stupid, smashy fun. And
but with family.
But with family. To quote Josh Rios from Polygon, it's a smooth-brained good time, and I agree with that.
So smooth, you'll slide a car right out of an airplane.
That scene though, where they were dropping the fucking dudes out of an airplane, like that is the level of like cinematic like set piece design that I want to like bring to my tabletop RPG like games. Like I think this especially Fast 7, but even in Fast 1, like with the initial like heists on the moving trucks, like that is such good like tabletop design, and they capitalize on it. There's a board game already where you fight a tank in your cars that I will probably post a link to in the show notes. But
and we're gonna play it on this podcast.
Yeah, maybe
bonus episode.
Listen, I'm saying, listen, that's not out of the question. I think it might be very fun if we could play that board game.
This is now just a Fast and Furious podcast.
Yeah, sorry, we're converting now.
We don't want to talk about anything else ever again. Just Fast and Furious and Kingdom Hearts. We'll call it Kingdom Furious. But, It's stupid tabletop nonsense, and I love, well, everything we keep comparing it to, it has an aspect of melodrama to it, right? So we talked about it being like anime, super melodramatic. Talked about it being Saints Row is super melodramatic. Talked about it being like a tabletop game. What is tabletop but melodrama, you know? So it's just like, melodrama's fun. It's fun. It's fun to unironically indulge in melodrama.
I agree, and we should do more of it. Leyla, I think it's time for our favorite segment, our only segment, the Mortified Marketing Minute. So I struggled thinking about how we were going to market this because, like, these movies are already marketed maybe in the best way possible, which is just, like, by having a trailer that has, like, a big, stupid action set piece. Like, hard to compete with that, I feel.
I agree.
So I was wondering, should we like either invent a tie-in product that we would try to market in a different, slightly more unique way than just trying to market a movie?
Well, yeah, I think a product tie-in would be great. I think I have a specific question for you though before we try to invent a product, which is, do you have an ARG idea for this, Mr. ARG?
So you're aware of the insurance company Geico?
Oh, no.
Maybe Geico, in their little commercials, that they could have like they would be a tie-in. Of course, you know, the fast characters would be driving and the gecko would be like in the seat, like with a Glock and like, God, come on, Dom. You know, 15 minutes can change you 15 or more on car insurance, but I don't think it's gonna cover fucking predator missiles or some shit. And then like when they're driving away, like the license plate would have like a URL on it, and then you would go on the URL, and that would take you to a Carfax website, and then you'd have to scroll through the Carfax pages to find a very specific looking car from the Fast and Furious franchise. And then if you looked at that listing, you would see that if you like take the image of the car, you could change it with some sort of editing software, and it would give you a different image, and then that image would take you, it would be like a QR code or something, and that would take you to a special, I don't know, like your pre-order tickets, or like, you know, you get a little medal for completing the ARG or something like that.
Wow. Yeah. While you were describing that Geico commercial, I did think of one also where it could just be the Geico Gecko pausing stills from the trailer for the Fast and the Furious 10 and totaling up how much damage they're causing without car insurance, and then how much Geico policy would save them. I think that would be fun. Wow. Yes. Yes, definitely. Whew. It would also be fun if, you know, like the more modern, like self-driving cars, if, you know how before a movie they used to have that roller coaster where, you know, it would just like play the roller coaster footage, and you can like throw your hands up in your chair at the movies, and it's like a roller. You know what I'm talking about?
I mean, I know what like a motion ride is, but I don't think they ever did that. All I remember is Maria Menounos. That's all I can remember at this point.
Okay, well, at the AMC's in Buffalo, they would play a, like, just footage as if you were on a roller coaster. And when we were kids, it would be fun to just pretend you were on a roller coaster. So what I'm saying is, if you were a self-driving car, what if the windshield was rigged kind of like that? And then it would be like a motion ride where you would think you're like in a Fast and Furious car chase, but you're not. You're just going to work. But like, you know, you're trapped in the vehicle.
I love this. I love when I go, instead of my 8 a.m. commute, I get to be a part of The Rock's Fast and Furious franchise stunt. I can be fucking trying to rob a car with my good friend Dom Toretto before I have to clock in at my job tracking STDs in Indiana. That would be great.
Yeah, I think that would be something. So there's your product tie-in. Tesla, make the windshield a movie screen. That's not unsafe at all.
No, I mean, not any more unsafe than your cars already are. But
yeah.
Anyway.
So I think, like you said, it's just hard to, because here's the thing. Not to compare this to Kingdom Hearts, but remember how we saw that inscrutable ass trailer for Kingdom Hearts. That's basically what the Fast and Furious trailers are. It's just like inscrutable action sequences, but it actually works because Goofy's not there. It's Vin Diesel. So you kind of get the gist. Yeah. But I think it's fantastic that they just have, like, inscrutable action trailers. And we're here to help, but we can't beat them.
Oh, God. I think that, listen, you heard it here first. Mortified podcast certifies the Fast and the Furious as unmarketable, perfect, cannot make any improvements, 100% A+.
Your rotten advertisement score is certified fresh.
Certified fresh by Mortified. God.
So before we finish this broadcast, you did make this note in our outline that comes from my notes, and I do think we should explore it. What is everyone's D&D class?
Oh, boy. Okay.
I stand by the fact that I think Dom Toretto is a paladin rogue dual wield. And that Brian is a druid.
Okay, please explain. I understand the paladin part of Dom Toretto. Why the rogue?
That motherfucker came out with dual-wielding 2 wrenches against Jason Statham. What do you want me to think?
Listen, you in 5e, you don't have to be a rogue to dual wield. You can just ditch the shield.
Okay, then he can just be a paladin.
He's just a paladin with 2 wrenches. I agree with that. What makes Officer Brian O'Connor a druid?
He calls upon the forces of nature as they are known to him, which is to say he's very resourceful. He's always calling choppers and shit.
Nature, by which I mean the American police military industrial complex,
yeah,
of course.
LAPD and the FBI, absolutely. A cab. All cops are Brian.
I wish. God, who... Okay, I mean, I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, obviously a barbarian, you know.
Oh, 1,000.
Yeah, not to typecast, but the dude's he's called The Rock for a reason. I feel like Letty, I don't feel like she's a rogue. I feel like she might be a warlock, in some ways.
Okay. Who's her patron?
So, that's a good question. So, in Fast 1, we see a scene where they all say grace, and Jesse prays to the machine god of Gears and Nos. I feel like Letty's patron is the machine god of cars, and because she doesn't get too many sequences where she needs to drive cars, but when she does drive cars, she drives them very well and very powerfully. Similarly, in Dungeons & Dragons, warlocks don't have very many spell slots, but when they do, they always cast at max spell level. Which is why I think that Letty would be a warlock.
I actually think that's quite poetic, because if her patron is the god of machine parts and Nos, then it would be the same god that Dom is sworn to, and they could have a wonderful little conflict of faith as to whether or not his god is actually a god. Or a demon playing at false idols, you know what I mean?
Excellent.
Great.
And Vin Diesel as the #1 D&D stan in Hollywood would 100% be on board with this. So
1,000%, yeah. 1,000%. I hate to say it, I think Mia would be an NPC.
Yeah, unfortunately, she does not get enough screen time.
She's the Kyrie of this franchise, unfortunately. I do want her to do more, but it's fine. She can just wear her hoop earrings and be cool.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of... We've got Ludacris, we've got Jesse. I mean, they're more like bard types, a lot of support.
Well, I think Roman is probably a bard.
Definitely for the comedic effect, yes.
Yeah. I think he's probably a bard. He's easily frightened, and without his instruments, kind of useless. Ludacris... Is he a wizard?
He could be a wizard. Yeah, his technology makes him very powerful, and his technology is a little bit like his magic spells, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if nature is the FBI, then computers can be spells.
God. Oh god. Writing a fucking Fast and Furious AU as we speak. Yeah.
What else is there to do in this economy? Once they run out of these ones, we can pitch them the fantasy ones.
God, incredible.
Make $1 billion.
Oh, Leyla, we're not trying to conduct increasingly convoluted get-rich-quick schemes. Where can we find you on the internet?
I'm at LEYLSES on Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram. You can read me essays at LeylaMamedova.com. I'm reviving my comic called Astral Heart soon. And that's me. What about you?
You can find me on the internet at AaronSXL, where I complain on Twitter about politics and public health. You can listen to the other podcast I do at The Bible Boys. Me and Josh are going to watch the Confederate propaganda movie Gods and Generals, which will be something. Looking forward to talking about the implications of that one. That's a fucking 3.5-hour movie, so I'm going to have a long night tonight. But I also, like Leyla, put out essays, and I recently wrote one called The Hypostatic Union, which talks about my relationship with being a biracial person and how I used my experience learning about Catholic theology to square my identities. And I would like if you read that.
It's really good. It's like really good. It's like, guys, hey. It's really good.
Thank you, Leyla. Our theme song is Obsolete by Keshko from the album Filmmakers Reference Kit Volume 2. You can find more of their music at keshko.bandcamp.com. Leyla, how do we close out this Fast and Furious podcast?
Sit your candy ass down.
Thank you. We'll see you all next week.